This is the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast, and I'm your host, Trudy Simmons from the Daisy Chain Group, providing platforms for women entrepreneurs to be seen and heard. This platform is for women entrepreneurs that want to hear the real stories of what it takes to be yourself and run a business with all the different hats that you might have to wear. These are the stories of the tenacious, the rebellious, and the resilient women that are working towards the future that they want to build for themselves and their families. Hello and welcome to the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. And today I have the quite lovely Justine Markley from Believe Your Wellbeing Matters. Justine, thank you so much for being involved in the book in volume 3 and the podcast. Please tell us about your business.
Hello. So I do mental health and wellbeing sessions for companies and individuals. And I also incorporate a lot of law of attraction work into what I do to help people with their mindset. And also I do Reiki healing and spiritual wellness.
Fantastic. I love all this stuff. I love talking about it. Justine, in the chapter, you talk about focusing on your needs. That is something that we need to do. But I think that especially when we're business women, but we find it hard to do it. So how do we focus more on our needs, and how did you find that for yourself?
Focusing on your needs is really about understanding what is it that makes you tick on a day-to-day basis. So what is it that drives you? What is it that makes you wake up in the morning? What's your passion? And these sorts of things are helping you to identify what you need to look at with your well-being and that side of things as well. If we don't address our needs in terms of our well-being and our mental health, then we do end up going down the road of stress and anxiety and burnout. So it's really, really important to understand why you would want to address your needs, what your needs are, and what is it that helps to drive you and your business. For me personally, my needs were working with people directly. It was all about engagement. It was all about, understanding what my audience's needs were with their mental health and well-being. And was I, projecting out what they needed to hear in order to help them to move forward. So, my needs were really about focusing on how can I deliver this in a way that's going to help my audience and help them to move forward with their well-being specifically. So in terms of my personal needs, it was about integrating a solid well-being routine so that on a day-to-day basis, I had that, motivation, I had that drive, I had that reason to get up in the morning and actually be able to deliver what I needed to deliver. Because ultimately, if we don't focus on our well-being and we don't look after our needs and our well-being, we do end up losing track and losing sight of what it is that we're trying to do, whether it's work, whether it's business, whether it's our personal lives. So I really found that by integrating a solid well-being routine into my morning, my sort of around halfway through the day and in the evening, allowed me to become more focused and more driven and actually be more self-aware. And I think that self-awareness is absolutely key if you want to be successful and you want to get to where you need to be with in any area of your life, really.
We're singing from the same hymn sheet. Why is mental health and balance so important to you?
Mental health and balance is so important to me because I've been down that journey myself. I used to suffer with anxiety and depression for a good 15 years of my life. And unfortunately, it was down to lifestyle, it was down to mindset, it was down to really not believing in myself and really not understanding my needs and also not appreciating my gifts and what I had to offer. And the thing is, that's the key. Like, we're all on different paths in life. We may all have similar deliveries in terms of what businesses we might focus on or that sort of thing. But ultimately, we all have a different path and way to getting there. And when you focus and understand, what is it that my needs are in mental health? If I'm suffering from anxiety, what can I do to help myself rather than go against myself and self-sabotage? Then you can start to understand exactly how to get to where you want to be or need to be with your business. For me personally, I follow my intuition quite highly and strongly, which is why I do a lot of spiritual wellness work. And I do bring that into mental health and wellbeing sessions because it helps to other sort of individuals to understand how to help themselves on an emotional level, not just on a mental health level. But ultimately, mental health to me is about understanding your emotions, understanding what makes you tick, what makes you, what triggers you, what wakes you up in the morning, what makes you unhappy, what makes you happy, and actually being consciously aware of what it is that fits within your sort of spectrum of well-being, or fits within your needs and your mental health needs, in order to help you to really progress on a personal level as well as on a business level.
I just love these conversations, honestly. They're so important, and we get stuck in doing the business side of things. And when I listen to someone like you talking like this, it makes you reassess or bring awareness to the fact that sometimes you need to stop, sit down and look at what are your needs, not your business needs, your needs, and then making sure that those are being fulfilled so that you can find some level of balance. Because let's be honest, balance is a hard thing to not just to achieve, but to even look at sometimes of what that looks like for you. So I'm sat here honestly listening, going, I need to sit down. It's really, really important. One of the things that you talked about as well was changing your perspective.
Yeah.
And I was reading that going, this is one of those things that's easier said than done. But how do you do that regularly to bring yourself back to what your needs and balance is?
Sure. So what it is it's about focusing on, okay, so hang on a minute. If your perspective is not right towards something, you will notice that straight away within your energy. And it's about checking in with yourself initially and saying, right, what is it that's not working for me right now? What energy do I feel? If it's negative energy, where do I feel it in my body? Where do I feel it in my emotions? And understanding where this could be coming from. So say, for example, you're approaching a work or a business task and you just can't seem to get your head around it, and you know you need to change your perspective, but you just don't know how. The best way to do that is to step back from the situation, disassociate, even stepping away from what you're doing in that present moment, and do something else that distracts you to get you back to a place of being within that present moment. Now, once you're in that present moment, you can then understand what needs to change. But when we are in a situation where we are driven by negative emotions, we are driven by stress or anxiety, and that is hindering our perspectives, it then stops us from being able to see what's in front of us and actually a different way of approaching it. Now, I do neurolinguistic programming, and one thing that we are taught in neurolinguistic programming is to take a step back, disassociate, and change your state. So change your emotional state. And the only way to do that is really holistically to take a deep breath, step back, get yourself back in alignment with who you are, and say to yourself, I don't feel in alignment with who I am, so I'm going to step back from this situation. Give yourself permission to do that, because when you enable yourself to do that, you then bring the balance back in. And when the balance comes back in, the well-being comes back in, and then you can change your perspectives. But it's also about being able to see things from a different viewpoint, even getting up and even changing your physical perspective. So stepping up and walking to another area of the room and looking at the situation, looking back on yourself, sat in that chair, saying, right, well, how would I view this if I was a client and I was disassociating and I was becoming the coach? And when you get to that point of learning with your mental health and well-being, you can absolutely coach yourself on a day-to-day basis. And that's where the game changes.
Yeah. It's so crazy because crazy Daisy. People know that I'm highly productive, but part of me being highly productive is that I will walk away from whatever I can't do or whatever's getting in my way. I get up and I walk away. I go out of the room or I go for a walk it has to be over 20 minutes, depending on my stress level, so that I can come back and look at things in a different way, change perspective. And when I started talking about this, it didn't compute with some people that was a use of productive time, but it is absolutely the way to be able to be more productive, is to walk away and change your perspective.
Yes, because the thing is, if we don't do things like time blocking and taking time out specifically for us just to focus on that one item, then especially as women, we like to multitask. And then what happens is we overlap all these different things, and then we end up going down that road of stress and anxiety, and before we're even aware, we fall into the bracket of burnout. So the one way, and I know this because I've been there, and the one way to really eliminate that is to have that solid well-being routine. Now, if you're really, really busy, the best thing I can suggest is bring it into your day-to-day routine. So for example, if you're moisturizing your face, you start doing positive affirmations. If you are, for example, brushing your teeth, you slow down the process of brushing your teeth and you bring in the mindfulness. And all of these little tiny tweaks along the way will absolutely shift your mindset. And that's what it's really about.
Oh, amazing. Honestly. If there was one lesson that you've learned you'd want every entrepreneur to know, what would it be?
Don't worry about the future. Don't worry about what's coming. Just really take action in the here and now, and focus on today. Today is all that matters, because I've learned on my journey that things can shift within 24 hours. Something you may have planned to do with your business may completely get turned on its head in a good or a positive or a negative way, and you've got to be flexible to that change and adaptable to it. So focus on the here and now, take action in the here and now, and just totally believe that you are worthy of what you want. When you believe that, that's why I call my business Believe, because when you believe, you achieve and you receive. That's all I'd say.
People, write that down. What was it? Believe, receive, achieve.
Believe, receive. Believe, achieve, and receive.
Write that down. Amazing. I love that. Thank you so much. What's your favorite business book?
So my favorite business book is a little bit different to most, but it's The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. And now the reason why I choose that book specifically is because of the focus that I have with mental health, well-being, and spiritual wellness. I'm very much all about that. And, you know, the law of attraction, it's all about what you put out to the universe is what you shall attract back. And one thing I teach my clients is positive thinking. If you believe and you have that positive belief system in place, you will never, ever fail. Because even when you fall down, you will have that positive mindset to get yourself back up and say to yourself, do you know that was just a learning lesson? And that taught me what I needed to know to get me to where I am today. Yeah. So that is what I really would emphasize is, you know, really follow that positivity, and those sorts of books like Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life, Rhonda Byrne, The Secret, all of those books, highly recommend if you are an intuitive person especially and you want to follow that kind of energy.
I think Louise Hay's I Can Heal My Life, I think it's something like that. That was one of the first personal development books that I read, and I watched the film. I don't know if you've seen the film, but it
seen the film. No,
my life. It absolutely.
Really?
That was. It is an eye-opener. When you don't know anything about that side of things, it is a
yes.
Real. So,
and the thing is, I was just going to say quickly, in society these days, law of attraction is seen as a bit of a wooey subject, but actually we are all energy. And I know this from being a Reiki practitioner, and that whatever you put out to the universe with your thoughts is what you will attract back. If you are in a positive mindset on a day-to-day basis, using off the back of positive affirmations, mindfulness, and all these sorts of practices, you will see a massive shift in your reality. And when you see that shift in reality, people want to be around you when you're positive. You attract more abundance. It's just that easy, and it flows to you so quickly.
Oh, Justine. There's so much power behind your words and what you're saying. And I love it. There's so much, it's packed with positivity behind you. So thank you so much for being a part of the book. Thank you so much for doing the podcast and getting this out to inspire and motivate other people.
Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. If you've liked what you've seen today, then please make sure that you click the subscribe button to this channel to see more inspiration and motivation as more of these stories keep coming out. And if you want even more, click on the link below this video and go and have a look at the series of books Shine On You Crazy Daisy and get even more inspiration and motivation for you and your business.